Hello and welcome to the March edition of the Perl and Raku Community Roundtable. My name is Ruth Holloway. I'm on the board and currently moderating this meeting. Our purpose here today is for each of the attendees to share what's going on in their part of the Perl world. As we all know, Perl is not a monolithic community nor a monolithic body of work in any way. We have isolated islands of things going on all over the world. And so we'd like to hear about what's going on in those parts of the community. This meeting is videoed and will be up probably this weekend or early Monday on the YouTube channel. To kick things off, I'll start. The board has invited Chris Prather, Peregrine, to join the board, and he has graciously accepted. So we'll have a new board member soon. That's the big news from the board, really. Um, Other news from my world, planning for the Perl and Raku Conference 2026 continues apace. We will be in Greenville, South Carolina again this year. Working on evening activities. We've had our first round of call for papers, call for presentations, and that's gone well. And that's the biggies. Also, I think last month I mentioned the Dancer 2.1 was about to be out. It is now out. And unsurprisingly, the dancing community found a few small bugs that are being picked at by the team. That's the latest from my world. Bruce, you were the next to turn up, so you are up.
Uh, the call for presentations you just mentioned, this year is the first year that we are assisting people with partial talks or talk ideas in completing either the talks or the ideas. And we have had one early request for that, and we are working to satisfy that request. The Raku Foundation is proceeding apace into the part of the incorporation involving the legal documents of all the people participating. And on the weekly challenge, happy to know that Mark Perry has become the financial sponsor for the weekly challenges prizes for this year. So big thank you to
Wow.
him. And I'm looking over to Sarah to see if there's anything I've forgotten. I think that's it from my end.
All right. Salve, you were next in. You're up.
Okay, sure. I see Timothy is in line here, so I'll leave some of the CPANSec stuff to him. I was at the German Perl Workshop this week in Berlin. I did not attend the whole. I had to be at another conference in the same town at the same time. But the German Perl Workshop was super pleasant. Unusual venue in that it was inside a church, but it meant actually that the acoustics were awesome. I gave a talk there, which I would like to mention here. I spoke on a concept that I've been proposing and working on a while with my CPAN security hat on for a new type, an organization that can function as an open source software steward in the eyes of the Cyber Resilience Act in the EU legislation. And at the conference, I presented my idea here, and looking forward to see the recording so more people can see that. So we'll probably be announcing those eventually. I guess the organizers will do so. But the one thing I would like to do is like for this forum is to urge people to look at the video when it comes out, and if you are involved in some kind of well-organized community that cares about Perl or Raku. Well, it's primarily Perl. I understand the Raku community might be looking into this in their own way. We're looking for founding members. I'm looking for founding members and people who are interested in putting together the necessary bylaws and articles of association and stuff. And with well organized, the idea there is to look at groups that actually have a way to sustain themselves beyond just the benevolent dictator for life. Like they have a registered organization, for example, and some bylaws and a way to elect candidates for the board. And why is this a good thing? Well, I think the steward organization is something we will have to find a way to do at all in order for businesses out there who wish to sell products that somehow have Perl in their dependency graph to be compliant. If their choice is to, if they find out that they cannot be compliant with Perl or it's too expensive, then they might move away. So this is actually a bit important. But we'll have to start with the communities that are at least a little bit organized and have their act together. And please reach out to me. The idea here is to gather around on the TPRF Slack. We have a channel there, which at the moment is called CPANSec-Steward. This was created back when I was proposing that CPANSec should be a steward. I've gotten a little bit of pushback for that. So the idea, I think, is to make an independent one in a way that fits well with how the Perl communities are not structured, so to speak. If we can find a way to change the name of that channel would be great, by the way. But that's where the discussion around the details around this I expect to have there. And what I hope is to get enough progress in around this bylaws and the idea around this before the Perl Culture Summit, so that we can maybe make some meaningful decisions there among at least those who have met up, showed up there. Yes, that's what I have to share for today.
All right, thank you.
And happy to. I'm being a little bit mysterious here. That's on purpose. So to find out if somebody feels curious and please reach out to me, and I'm happy to chat with anybody who cares about the long-term sustainability of the Perl community.
Excellent.
Communities and
communities. Next up, Todd Ronaldo.
I'll go last.
You'll go last? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll move on to Alex from the north.
From the north, where I woke up this morning and there was a little bit of snow, but it's a couple degrees above zero, so that's all gone. So in Canada, we call this false spring, and it happens a couple of times. So we got winter, and then we're finished with winter, and we have spring, and then we go back to winter, and then we have spring, and then we go back to winter. But today's the equinox, so hopefully that's the end of it.
Yeah, we're at 22 here today, so 22 in your units, 70 odd in freedom
22
units.
Fahrenheit, that's cool, but 22 Celsius, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's very
pleasant. Nice out there.
To me, the bar is, can I sit outside while enjoying a cup of coffee? And at this point, not yet. Soon, though. Okay, so what's happening in Toronto? We're having somebody speak next week. I'm not available, so Olaf is going to be taking care of that, and he's taking it on to publicize it and figure out what the topic's going to be, because our speakers offered a couple of topics. It's Stephen Lambert who's going to be talking. So I'm going to be at a surprise party, so I'm unavailable, but I'll look forward to seeing what the video looks like, and I'll edit it and put it up on the TPRF channel at a later date. And we also have a talk scheduled for May, but that's a ways away. And I've also started to do some. I'm in the process of doing some work for having the conference, the 27 conference in Waterloo, and yeah, the surprise party, Todd, but it's not for anybody you know, I'm guessing.
You said Stephen Lemberg.
No. Stephen Lemberg is not the
Oh,
surprise.
oh, okay. Sorry.
More coffee. Pay attention.
More coffee. Yeah, so I've been doing work to get ready for, I guess, my proposal to the board for having the 27 conference in Waterloo, Ontario, at my alma mater, University of Waterloo. And we're anyway, I'm doing some work towards that. What I still need to work on is stuff for the I guess the big night, which is night 2, where we're gonna have some entertainment and some lovely beverages and something that represents the region. And that's all I have from Toronto.
All right. Next up is Timothy, who is still muted. There you are.
Yeah, there I am. Working away at some of the CNA stuff with CVEs. There's a lot of old things that are slowly going through the process, as well as new things being found. Moving those along. It's myself, Stig, and Robert doing most of those items. Other than that, getting a blast of AI things coming in and looking at looking at you, Todd. But all good stuff. It's really interesting way to start looking at code bases. It's really the biggest items for me right now.
Okay. And that leaves Todd Ronaldo. You can't put it off any longer.
All right. Do I have screen share? It's not turned on. They hid the setting. It's like buried under more, and I forget. It's like settings. No, it's not settings because I have settings.
Big green button.
Well, I have a share.
Oh, I can send a request.
There you
Did that
go.
work?
Allow. And I just allowed you.
There we go. Okay. Let's see if I got this right. Hey, I did. Who knew? Okay. So what we've been working on, I blame almost all of this on Nico, or Atomic, if you guys know him, is there. So he has been drinking the AI Kool-Aid, and somehow he's still alive. But he's been drinking a lot of it. And he had a friend who, in France, who had a shower moment and came up with an idea for a bot that would help him code better. Nico got involved in the project, and we've been developing and working on it since. In fact, amusingly, Nico's been working on it so much that he actually had a conversation with the original author who basically said, you're moving so fast, I can't even keep track of what's happening right now. Which is actually normal for work that Nico does. So you kind of have to be careful. So what it looks like, it's a small application that sits on my on one of my servers. I have it in a isolated account, and it's really nothing more than a big while loop. And what it does is it wakes up and it does a few things. You can then give it missions, and I'll show you guys this, but like it's not pretty. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Come on. Okay. So it was originally set up with Telegram, and the idea is that you can give it missions. You can say like this, and so I gave it a mission for the project called Cone, and I told it I want you to go do something. Very often, the way you end up using it is like this, where you'll have it rebase a pull request, or where you'll say, yeah, just go fix this issue. It also has, if you guys are familiar with AI development, it also has a plan mode. You can say /plan, and rather than just outright fixing the issue, it can propose some fix, and then you can clarify in the issue what you think of that fix or what comments you have. And then when you're happy with it, you literally just go say /implement on the issue, and it goes and does the thing. So it's using all the features of Claude, if everybody's familiar with it. But we're doing this in an automated way. I guess I buried the lead. The original reason this was done is because when you use Claude, you get quoted on how much you can use in a 4-hour window. And so you'll be happily working on something, and then you hit your 4-hour limit, and now you got to stop and come back later. And so instead, what this does, you queue up all the stuff that you need doing, and it keeps an eye on your quota, and it just when you have quota available, it uses it. When you don't, it doesn't. The funny thing is, this is doing it efficiently in a way that I tried for 3 days to overuse it and could not actually run out of Claude quota. I'm on the $100 plan, though, if that makes a difference. A lot of people have the $20 plan. So what I did, and this is the thing that scares the crap out of me. I am the maintainer of XML parser and YAML sick. XML parser is kind of way out of my depth, and honestly is it's just not something I use, so I don't have a lot of knowledge about it. And YAML sick is great, and I understand it, but the problem is that I don't. It was written by a guy like Engie will tell you the story, who wrote this Bison parser to parse YAML, and when they did it, there was no source control. So our early source control in YAML sick is the CPAN releases, and at the time, he didn't release the code for the Bison file. And so ever since then, we've been poking at a generated Bison file in order to actually get the fixes in that we need. Those are the two modules that the situation, and basically what happened. Is it here? Yeah. What happened this week is I installed the bot, I attached it to my account, and I essentially closed out all of the open issues that I had, going back to, some stuff was, let's see, that one's me. I'm trying to find, there's Perl Punk. Okay. YAML sick apparently didn't have that bad of a queue. By Perl Punk. So it basically went through all the open issues and fixed them for me. And so this was reported by Iserte, I forget his name, Slavin. And I'm sure many of you that maintain CPAN modules have gotten reports from him. I literally just did /fix on this, okay? And wait, nope, shoot. I'm sorry, I should have been better prepared for this.
I only gave you an hour, Todd. That's fair.
I know. Okay, so here's one. I did a /fix on this. And the Mac compile was super noisy. It had all these complaints in it. And I really just did /fix on the issue. And it came back within about 20 minutes and it produces this. This one actually is rather terse in its explanation of what it found. But it talks about how it's silencing the compiler warnings. It found, what it found. It needed to do some casting. It needed to fix some problems with PP port, which I probably blocked it from being allowed to do because you don't screw with PP port. And you'll see that I said PP port. Yeah, it's updated in main. I gave it a complaint and then I issued a rebase and it addressed the issues that I had. And then I said, yeah, here it is. PP port should never be modified. Can we fix this problem in a different way? It came back with a fix. I complained about still seeing compile messages. It came back with more fixes. This is actually, normally you don't see this much interaction, I will say. And what we ended up with is a produced fix where it found we were missing some default breaks in a switch statement. And we were missing a single casting, and that was it. And that fixed the entire problem. But me finding those, I honestly, this one's not so bad, but there are others that I might not have found as easily. So as far as pull requests are concerned, in the past, what day is it? Friday. So we'll say 4 days. I have closed. Okay, that's page 1 of 25 issues. And okay, so I closed 45 issues in YAML-SIC. In addition to that, it has a mode where it will just kind of stare at the code and try to find issues. It actually found a security issue that I had to report to Tim. And the funny thing is, at the time, I think the message, the first one we got, Tim just said heap overflow. I was like, oh yeah, I've got to report that, don't I? And we did an enhancement on Cone. And so you can do a /fix on Cone. And so what I did was I went over to Cone and I said, yeah, we had an issue with this where it should have been a CVE. I ideally the LLM instructions that Cone does should say that if you find a security issue, then you should highlight that. And so then I think, and Tim, I'm going to have to find it. The second one I reported to Tim actually came back with a security flag where it literally says what the issue is, so Tim could look at it and review and decide whether that's an issue he was going to address or report, or whether this is a nothing burger and we can ignore it. In addition to that one, I added another feature, and what I told Cohen was, hey, if you do these aren't so much Cohen, but like this is, well, actually, let me just pull it up. Oh, okay. So what I told Cohen was that if you do find a security issue, you need to provide a proof of concept. So I told it to write a unit test that fails and then works with the applied fix, so that anybody who is actually reviewing the code actually is able to see, understand what was broken and how it was fixed, and actually see the unit test so that there's proof of what behavior causes it. So these are just me making very little one-off improvements, but literally we've got Cone improving Cone. And it really just comes down to what our imagination is and what we can do to fix. So and so then Tim, I don't think we've had one yet, but the next one that comes through will actually have a unit test that shows the proof of concept. So I reported 3 security issues, 2 in XML parser and 1 in YAML-SIC. I closed, what did we say, 40 cases in and XML, or sorry, YAML-sick, and I don't have the number for XML parser, but I had issues that went back 20 years that had not been addressed. And we're now at the point where I actually emptied the queue in XML parser. Some new issues came up because I opened it, but let's see, 4 days ago. Okay, so about 70 issues that I closed in the XML parser in a 3-day time period. And I can pick any one of these at random if anybody wants to look at it, and you can see the reasonable fixes that are well explained, that you have then have the ability to go over and look at the change and make sure that you understand the change that was made. It always comes with unit tests so that you can confirm the new behavior. I even just made a recent change. One of the things that I really struggle with Claude doing on a regular basis is it will make a code change, and then the unit test does an analysis of the code, the source code, and says, "Yep, it doesn't have that code anymore." And so that's their idea of a regression test, is making sure that code doesn't sneak back in. So I actually have a thing pending, right? Actually, I think Nico merged it already, but an idea where I gave better instruction. And I said, you should not be writing code that analyzes the source code, or write tests that analyze the source code. Instead, you should be writing tests that validate the inputs and the outputs. It's okay to mock, but so I gave it instructions, and now I'm not going to have to deal with that sort of corner case anymore. So it's been a busy week. I was actually supposed to be doing something else, but as always, sometimes you end up in a rabbit hole, and this has been my rabbit hole this week, and it's pretty scary. I've released 4 different modules this week with cleared queues. I've got about 5 modules that are pending that need a little bit more work, but I'm going to clear those. My goal is, I think, let's see. My goal is actually to get to the point where I don't have, so these are all my modules. I don't know if it provides a count, but the goal is to get to a point where I don't have any open issues. So it looks like, yeah, I lied. I've released, is that 6 modules in the past few days. And Tim and I are working madly on this with Cone. But we're just walking down the line. Nico, before I got involved in the project, we had test mock file, which is really cool. You can use it to mock the entire file system and make it so that your unit tests stay small and they don't touch the file system. Instead, they just work with virtual files in memory, and you can validate the contents of the virtual files, but keep your thing clean. And I wrote that module 4 years ago. And I just need to mock open and some basic rights, so I didn't fully implement it. But I had all these open issues of, I really need it to handle UMask. I need it to, some of the more obscure Perl commands that you wouldn't normally need to worry about. And I had those issues open for several years. It just came along and implemented them for me. I didn't actually have to do much other than review the code, and there was a lot of code to review. So I guess I talked a lot. Does anybody have questions?
Wow.
Yeah, this is impressive.
It's frightening is the word I would use.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, this is
So I
a
told,
game changer for a lot of things. And
yeah.
Wow, this is really
So
impressive.
this one is the one that was scaring me the most the other day. And I've actually since done something even scarier, being inspired by it. So this was the original bug. Okay. So somebody complained that when you do, where is it? Basically this command that it broke, right? Actually, it errors if you do this command, right? And and I hadn't gotten around to fixing it. And so, of course, I threw my bot at it, and it decided that there was no Bison parser and it needed to update the Bison parser. And so the solution it came up with was to make a new Bison parser based on the generated C file that would implement could then be regenerated to the C file. And now in my source code, or now in this pull request, it has written a grammar file that honestly I don't know how to review because I don't know Bison. But it's passing all the tests is the thing. So the key thing that Nico and I have learned from this exercise, yeah, you can see it's now generating it as Bison 374, and who knows what fixes are buried in 374 that I won't even be able to tell anybody that we fixed a bug, because that's probably 10 to 15 years old.
Wow.
So anyways, because I was releasing a CVE with YAML sick, I decided to hold this one back. But this is coming in YAML sick. And, is this going to create performance increases? I don't even have a way to measure that right now. But it's just amusing that was the right solution, but none of you would take that as the solution to the problem, even though it was the right solution. Actually, why I'm holding off on this is I want to go talk to Tanita, because she has thorough YAML test suites that validate the entire YAML interface. And my plan is actually to put that into this test suite and then just say, hey, these aren't implemented yet, go fix it. And then I can merge this with confidence to know that the rest of the YAML is going to work right. The key thing before I go to you, Salve, is you have to have a really thorough test suite that validates everything that you're doing. And this is a simple one. I have it running all the Perl versions in Windows and Mac OS. This morning, I ran into a problem with XML parser. And it turns out the problem was that BSD and Fedora are pains in the butts. I think it's because they use Clang. And so I had to actually, step one this morning was me enhancing the test suite to test Fedora 4.3 and a bunch of BSDs. And guess what? Yeah, it found some problems. And once I had that CI there, I was able to throw cone at the problem and have it sort out those issues. And so I'm literally in the middle of releasing 251 that addresses all of those issues that are blowing up the tests. And I woke up this morning, cone had already, it's funny, it had already addressed one issue automatically. I didn't do anything. This is, from what I can tell, the expat developer. And does anybody know what that flag is? Yellow and blue. Anyways, he reported an issue where he felt like we were doing something unnecessarily, and he was reporting it. I don't. The reply was automatically given back, and then on top of it, it made a pull request to document its reasoning here in the expat so that you could see, yes, this is why we're having to do this.
This is again, this is an excellent use of AI, and I'm very nervous about AI, but if the AI can explain itself and document its reasoning,
yeah,
that's good. That's fine.
So it still leaves me a ton of work to do reviews on this crap, and that's where we're really stuck right now.
Yeah. I see Salve has got his hand up.
Do it, man.
Yeah. So this looks awesome in quite a few ways, and the fact that you are going ahead and trying this out to see what we can learn from that is brilliant. Awesome. Keep doing that. A couple comments. I noticed in one of the files you just shown that the bot for some reason changed the license of the software from GPL version 2 to GPL version 3.
You're going to have to
You have to push the back button a bunch of times. I don't know where it was.
I can go back, but I don't think it was it actually here. Was it in the comment?
It was in a comment inside the source code of one of the files.
Was that the one that I talked about last night?
Might have been the bison one.
Yeah, it was the bison. There was some bison stuff.
Oh, the bison one. Okay, that's easy. So that was generated.
Exactly.
I haven't merged that actually.
That's why I want to raise this as that. No, okay. I haven't spent much time on the latest generations of AI, but I did study this stuff at the university, and I'm sure I don't have to repeat to you that even if we now have a cultural infatuation with these tools, we cannot trust them. And there we have it.
Okay, but that is the generated file from Bison.
No,
Bison did that. I didn't do that.
Line 8, line 9.
Yeah, this is generated by Bison.
So it's Bison sets the license of the file that it generates. Now, who gets to decide the license of the file that is added to your repository?
You don't normally alter a Bison generated file.
Well, the thing is that you get to decide the license.
Maybe there's a command line option for it. I thank you for pointing it out, because I wasn't paying any attention to that because
exactly that is my point.
No.
I'm trying to get
because the code is here. That stuff is not AI generated. That is Bison generated.
That's okay. Cool. Fine.
Yeah.
But my point here is whatever is being generated here. We have to pay attention, and if it generates something you are incapable of assessing if it's okay or not, that's actually a problem.
Yes, it is.
And publishing that you should probably refrain from putting this into an official release until you find somebody who knows what they're doing to sign off on this.
Yes.
Because I know it's so easy just to put on push the play button and then be overwhelmed with how awesome this is. But the devil is literally in the details in this situation.
Totally
and if we are unaware of what's going on here or incapable of assessing it, then we really need to do the right thing and say, no, we are going to do the hard work on trying to understand what's actually going on. And yes, that probably means we'll have to spend a lot of work on it, as you say here. But this is nice and shiny. But as far as I'm concerned, and this is me based on what I learned about the neural networks back at the uni, it's still turds. And even if you polish the turds so they are so shiny, they remain turds, and unless you actually really check it. And that is when people trust
and like
us
I say,
with
that is
code here.
literally what I spent my entire week on, was reviewing those changes. And honestly, there was nothing I put in that I wasn't uncomfortable with. When there was some crazy excess, I went to a porter and I said, "Hey, can you confirm to me this excess change makes sense?" I was definitely not putting that in. I agree with you. The step that cannot be skipped is review and validation.
But
the step that can be shortened is creating more unit tests, right? And that's literally why right here, I'm holding my breath on this one until I can talk to Tanita. And because I remember she had that test suite. I talked to her at Toolchain last year, and I just did not have the time to deal with the 400 bugs that were going to pop up if I added her test suite to my system.
Well, good that you take this seriously.
Yeah.
When it comes to testing, there's lots of nuances one could add, and having a generate tests, say for example, that not only look for air conditions or that the expected handling of air conditions remains the same. Or if they are like people run eval something and check for strings, and sometimes you need a test to make sure that type of usage doesn't break, for example. That's a tests that could be, if you don't have tests for that, add it. And using an AI to generate those, brilliant. It's a tedious and horrible work. But for me here, I'm also a little bit worried about the long-term training that we do by using this tool. It's not about getting ignorant and all that crap, which some people worry about. It's more that the details that then an LLM can produce might look good, but those really subtle errors is that those are the ones which we might miss when doing a review, and some of those errors might be security errors, and we do not have any control of the model and what kind of training data was introduced or not introduced. So whoever made the model we're using for performing this work could explicitly have withheld certain subtle errors, security errors, so that the patterns that are produced by this LLM has a likelihood of having those errors and still thinking it's okay, or for what, even if you can call it thinking. So there are security implications quite a galore here. So especially if this is code that can run in situations where there are security implications, but that's hard to know. So maybe we should just assume it is so, and that means you have your work cut out for yourself. Good luck with that. I hope you find the help you need. Well done, by the way.
There's a lot of like, so definitely security concerns, and there's nothing stopping anyone from throwing together applications with AI and not having reviewed anything and pulling in PRs and so on. But so far, certainly any of the PRs that have come into Crypt OpenSSL RSA, one of the ones I've been looking at with Todd and Nico, it's a lot of reviews and looking at it, testing it out, confirming what it's doing. It has found so many potential memory leaks. Most of them probably my fault from the last refactor that was done of that thing. But it's just amazing the things it's found and helped out with. Now that being said, you've got to really look at them and try to figure out what's going on with it. It's especially some of these things are the original module was doing it through defines and putting together a whole section of things to look at whether to croak or throw an exception, etc. So finding it and discovering the errors, there's a lot to it. I go to bed in the morning trying to get the number of PRs down below 10, and I wake up in the morning and there's 12 or 15 there. So it's been a little disheartening from that point of view. But
yeah, I was bragging about XML parser being empty, and as I was talking with you guys, I went to look, and oh yeah, there's 5 open pull requests right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I said to Nico earlier today, maybe they need a pause thing. Let us address some of the PRs that are there and move on. Some of the problem is the same as it's been for quite a while in the Perl community. Not enough maintainers, not enough time. So this helps substantially with certain portions of it. But still, the review's still got to be done. You've still got to go through the process. You've got to do a release. You've got to do test releases. And if you didn't have time to do that on your own, this is really going to, in some ways, make the problem worse for some maintainers because they didn't have the time before.
Yes.
Salve.
Yeah. This I don't know how to put this. A philosophical rule of thumb, which I try to remind myself of in situations like this when interacting with AI, and that's on how to recognize or figure out if one is an expert. Like, how do you know if someone else is an expert? We don't. It's almost impossible unless you are at the same level of expertise or higher than the person or the tool you're assessing. That's why we have peer review at the in science, where we try to push the edges of or the horizon of what is known. We need the people who are capable of figuring out if something is correct or not cannot do it from a position of ignorance. And to remind ourselves there is that if we use a tool and don't that seems impressive, but doesn't. But we're not an expert in the thing that the tool is used for. Then we are doing a gamble. We try to make a judgment call of something's expertise level without having the expertise level, and we have a mechanism for that in society to make that work anyway, and that is through reputation. Say, for example, the reputation of the institution where you got your education. If you come from a well-known or well-regarded university, for example, we can make certain assumptions that you know what you are talking about within the fields of expertise that you got your degree in. There is nothing like that when it comes to AI models. So we are basically gambling on OpenAI and Anthropic and the others that they haven't been mucking around in quote unquote the education of these models. So we are ignorant, all of us. With the being ignorant is the born condition of every human. So let's be a little bit humble and not just jump into this quickly, because this is we do not know if this is okay unless we actually have the competency to do the correct assessment.
Dude, you used a lot of words, but all I'm hearing you say is we need to, you can't, don't blindly merge. And I think we all agree on that.
No,
like,
the
reason
merging
this
is
is
the
taking,
final step. This is
yeah.
like just get. I'm not saying get help in the sense
Yeah,
it's help
but
for you, but it's also
but,
get help. Yeah, yeah.
dude, I mean, I'm sure you maintain CPAN modules, and you know very well people will submit stuff to you sometimes that you don't necessarily understand, and you end up sitting on those pull requests. This is no different than any other random cat on the internet that submits something to you. I have to make sure I actually understand what is going in before I submit it. The change here is I basically added an additional thing on the internet that is submitting ideas that for my review. That's all we're doing here. The same workflow applies here. You know, maybe it's malicious, maybe it's not, but same thing goes for anybody else who gives me a pull request. You know, I have no idea what their motivations are when I press that merge button. I have to make sure that I've reviewed what they did and that I know what the heck is going to happen and that what's going in isn't malicious.
Yeah, the difference between this and a random person out on the internet is this is actually explaining a lot better what's there. It's explaining the reasoning why. I've seen PRs come in and person hasn't left a test script that could validate what's there, or a data file, or anything. This is actually providing something that you can take a look at and try to figure out. And I've got one module, convert ASN1, that quite frankly I really shouldn't be the guy maintaining it. So there are some PRs in there right now from the bot, and it is taking me a long time to go through them. And most of the ones that I'm accepting are related to additional test scripts that are there. So hopefully we'll get to a point where we'll have a little more faith in being able to follow things, that things are working. But it's a lot of work to go through.
Here's a trick, an experiment which you could do with your favorite LLM. Ask that LLM to write a short biography about yourself. You're the top expert on yourself, and see if they forgot something important or add something that isn't true but seemed legitimate and believable. That should give you an indicator on whether or not something subtle has been added or something subtle has been removed, and that those are the bugs also that we should look for in the code that is being produced here.
Yeah, I've actually asked it about myself a few times recently, and it's actually come back with things that I didn't know were on the internet, that were actually true about me. Is it perfect? No, not even close. But
that it's the subtleties. The
yep.
code doesn't allow for imperfect. Like we're talking about the level of precision that was needed in code. That there isn't always room for interpretation or this seemed good enough. It needs sometimes to be spot on. And
True, Salve. But
yeah.
if that is the case, which it is the case, I probably shouldn't be writing any code.
No, the question here is, can you start with something that you can trust, and can you figure out on how to make decision based on that or improve it?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the things that we get from these tools here are massive. There's so much to go through, and that's a denial of service attack against our attention. And that means
Definitely.
it's okay to say, let's take it slow. Let's go through it methodically, figure out if there's some subtle things that are missing or some subtle things that have been added or modified.
Yep. Yeah, no, as Todd said, it doesn't take away the responsibility of the maintainer or the author to actually validate these things and look at them. That's
and
exactly
to make it even easier or more fun is that we are fallible also as humans. So we should expect that some of the stuff that we review will fall through the cracks. So maybe it's sensible to add a metadata field or something to when we release some code that has been modified by an LLM, that this is an LLM modified, contains LLM modified code, just so people can have a signal to be a little bit extra skeptical or a little bit extra take care when they review the changes. So we still get the benefit of having multiple eyes on the code.
Yep. No, based on the things I've seen at Fix of Mine, I should have had a flag for people to be skeptical of my code, without a doubt. But its point is taken, Salve, for sure.
When I share this and I talk about the crazy things that it does, it definitely does not. It's probably not coming across, but there is certainly fear in my voice about how, like, it's not something any person would likely do. Most people would not say, I know, I'll just rewrite the grammar. Um, um, that's not something somebody would do. So when it does that, I have to pause and think. And the answer is, yeah, people are going to blindly go after this stuff. Um, you know, um, um, yes, they will. But I think if it wasn't this, it would have been something else. Um, I we're not to the point where it's just writing the code and the merge button is being pressed automatically. When we get to that point, I think that's when, and I'm not convinced that that isn't coming. Then that's when your concern for me asserts. Right now, I've just got another advice engine in my ear, and hopefully I don't go deaf.
All right.
So I'll share with you guys one crazy thing, and this was not with the bot. This was just with Claude. Any of you play Minecraft ever?
Yeah, once
Okay.
twice.
So Minecraft, there's a mod system called CurseForge. Okay. And CurseForge will allow people to write small Java modifications of Minecraft, and you drop them into a folder, and CurseForge loads those automatically. So my son loves to do that because it lets him play Minecraft in a different mode, where he kind of gets a new experience, and he likes to play it with his friends. So I run a Minecraft server on a headless Alma Linux 9 server. And the problem is that some of those jar files that get written by people are designed to work on a server, on a computer. But like in this case, the jar file, and it turned out to be the one modification that he actually wanted to play. The rest were just peripheral. It wouldn't come up because it was trying to initialize the sound system. And there's no sound system on my Alma Linux 9 KVM server. So we looked it up, and there's no source code. The author admitted that, yes, they knew that there was a problem there, and they hadn't gotten around to fixing it, right? So I threw Claude at the problem, and I gave it the jar file, and it extracted the jar file. And I had to help it a little bit. It took it like an hour and a half to find the final solution. But basically what it decided to do, it said, well, I'd have to get access to the original CurseForge develop files in order to be able to compile this right, and explored that idea. What it ended up settling on was there's apparently some jar file you can get that will allow you to inject assembly directly into the compiled Java file. And so it decided to find the places using the exported classes where the initialization was happening. And I convinced it to overwrite the events and put a jump so that it would jump past the sound card initialization.
That's insane.
And it successfully did it after a few tries. It was actually struggling. It tried initially to delete the initialization calls, but it turns out that CurseForge overrides that compiled initialization, so that wasn't working. So the jump ended up working, and Alex is now playing on that mod right now.
Wow.
And that is something, like, I was familiar with the concept because that's how most copyright breaks work, is you insert a jump in the right place. But like, to see it just do that and figure it out all on its own was pretty damn frightening to me this week.
Code instrumentation is very fun, but holy shit, it's scary. Oh, you could add anything into that code. Oh.
Okay.
I love it.
This has been a wonderful discussion. Todd, thank you for bringing this to us and showing us code. I've been looking at it in another window and going, okay, I could spin one of those up. Yeah, and it's open source, knock it out. And if you find a bug, well, ask it to fix itself.
If anybody, and I realize I'm being recorded, if anybody would like to have my bot or Nico's bot pointed at your GitHub repo, we are happy to do so. It costs us nothing. But the very first step is reach out to us. It's not useful until you have a working CI, and we can we got formulas we can give you to add a CI to your GitHub repo so that it tests all the pearls and all the things, and we're sure that it's stable before we start. And then we will happily have it point at your repo and submit the proposed pull requests. We're eager to get feedback. You can see I showed you the cone repo and some of the changes that we've made to help us help improve it. Quite honestly, most of the cone logic is about how you prompt the LLM, not so much code itself, and that's what we're doing and improving right now. So if we can see more examples of problems, we would love to improve it.
All
Excellent.
right.
So
Prepared to drink from a water hose.
Thanks,
so.
Todd. That was really interesting.
fire hose.
Yes, it is. It is drinking from a ship grade fire hose. I'm
Yeah.
just looking at the possibilities and going, oh, I could, throw it at my modules as I get a CI on them, and oh boy, do I really want to do that?
So literally, Ruth, you were saying you've got another system that you use. You're not using GitHub.
Yeah, I've got some of my stuff out on GitLab and some on Codeberg.
So go make an issue on Cone and say, with as much detail as you can, I'd like to have support for this, blah, 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 and just make an issue.
Since it's already looking for its own issues, isn't it?
Correct.
Holy mackerel. Okay, cool. I can do that.
And we won't have
Okay.
any way to test it, but if you bring up your own bot, you
I
can.
test it
Yeah.
for you, but yeah. Okay, well, thank you all so much. Does anyone else have anything to offer for the good of the community before we close for this month? Hearing nothing, then we will adjourn. I'll be putting the recording of this up on YouTube in the next couple of days. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time and your presence, and we'll see you at next month's meeting. Be well.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thanks, you too.
See you, Ruth. Thanks.